Do 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 do. Welcome to the podcast. Wee.
Hang on.
Hi,
Hi.
what's up?
Hang on.
What am I hanging on for?
You're hanging on for me to... Because I'm glad that my video is finally better.
Your audio's better too.
Good.
And with that, welcome to Sequel Podcast. I'm Matthew Bonta.
I'm Melissa Hoffman.
It looks like, Melissa, that we're actually able to video without lagging
Yay! Why is that?
because you're actually using a webcam instead of your computer.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it fucked up. So. So.
Good.
Yes. So I hope the sound levels aren't too bad. Let me bring you up to the. Oh no, I need to have this going. So I can't have too big of a picture of you. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
I need to keep my eye on the sound levels so that your voice isn't too loud.
Well, once you get distracted or anything.
Well, I mean, I can see you there in the right-hand corner. I'm sure everyone's very interested in what they can't see. This being an audio, whatever.
The first nude podcast that I know of.
Well, I mean, when Kevin Smith first, I mean, I know that he wasn't nude, but like when Kevin Smith first started doing his tour, it was first called Live Nude Smod.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I think that was just a play on, like live nude girls and whatever. So.
Why wasn't he nude?
He doesn't get naked. He's kind of like me in that
He's
sense.
been never nude?
Well, probably actually, but he wears a shirt, which is when he has sex, which is what I like to do, right?
I wouldn't know about that.
You never had sex with me before?
Never.
God, you would think that you were an adult and mature about the subject.
Impossible.
Speaking of which, this is something I want to talk about after having you tell me that you had dudes trying to get up in them guts.
I don't want to talk about
it. I'm curious.
No.
Why not?
We're not going to talk about it.
Why not? Are you embarrassed?
A little bit.
Why? You're an attractive woman.
No, I'm not any kind of woman.
You're obviously an attractive woman if guys hit on you and tried to, I don't know, or maybe they did. I don't know. You won't tell me.
I am not attractive, and I did have a couple of gentlemen callers, but I did not like them.
Does that mean you had people over at your place?
No.
Then
No.
Then they're not gentlemen callers.
Oh, well, fuck you.
So tell me about this.
No, I don't want
to. The old Matt would never want to ever hear about this and imagine that it never happened, but I want to know. New Matt wants to know.
Why does new Matt want to know?
Because, Melissa, well, you know why. Tell me. I know what that is. Did that come off the fucking script that I gave you?
Yeah.
Well, we can't talk about things that can't be seen, so I want to hear about how many guys hit on you.
Oh, Lord.
Every time you go out?
No, not at all.
Let me know.
Why? Okay, so one time when I was at Maggie's, I hate talking about this. One time when I was at Maggie's, which is a bar right down the street that I frequent very often, and usually when I frequent it, I get left alone, which is nice because I go to have a drink, a beer, and watch like a game or something like that, or just relax. So one time there was a guy, and he was sitting like a few stools over, and he said something about the game, and so I'm polite, so I was talking to him.
You're very friendly.
I am. I can't help it. I assume the best in people. I assume that they just want to chat and they just want to be my friend or whatever. So he started chatting with me, and then the conversation was just really friendly at first, and pretty much throughout the conversation it was friendly. But then he slid over his receipt and he said, "Write down your number and we'll hang out sometime." And silly me, I thought that meant we'll hang out as friends because I'm trying to make friends, and I told him that. And I also told him that I wasn't looking for a relationship because we got on that topic too.
Which probably tells him,
What?
it's like, oh, I don't want a relationship, but I wouldn't mind hooking up.
Well, I'm not that kind of girl.
But if you're talking to a guy, me being one, and also I'm at one end of the spectrum, and I was friends with Patrick, who is at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. And having friends in the middle, like Dakota, is probably dead center in the middle. So I know inside the male mind. So anyways, go on. He called you?
Well, no, nobody calls anybody anymore. It's all about fucking texting.
Oh,
So-
so okay.
So he was just texting and he was like, "Let's get together." And I was like, "Okay," but he only wanted to ever come over to my place, and I didn't even know him. And so I was like, "No, let's meet up at a bar or something." And then he only ever wanted to get together after 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I have work and I kind of know what that means. I was starting to wise up because I got some advice from some friends, and they were like, that kind of means a booty call. Anytime after 10 means a booty call. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I just stopped texting.
Was this an attractive guy?
No.
Hold on. I've got something new here that I'm gonna be unveiling. Oh, by the way, this podcast probably is gonna sit here for a while because I'm booked up. But
Okay, good. It can never air as far as I'm concerned. Are we doing sound effects?
we've got a new effect here on Sequel Podcast. So let's reintroduce ourselves. Who are you again?
I'm Melissa Hoffman.
Thank you, everybody. It's good to have you back, Melissa. So from what I understand, you're working again. You've got a new movie in the works.
I do. I don't know how much I can say about it.
Probably not a lot.
Okay.
So
Love it.
were there other guys?
There was one other dude. I'm telling you, I have the worst view of Colorado men, because these are the only two guys that I've had conversations with. What is that?
It says creepers. It's no good.
Okay, so it was on the way home from some event.
You're boring the audience, Melissa. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. Oh, shit.
Okay, so I went to some event downtown with my three roommates, and we were on our way back on the light rail, and there was a guy sitting there, and I was totally wasted.
What?
And what?
That's a
What?
bad idea.
It's a bad idea to go out and drink on a Saturday night.
Well, no. Did you say you were by yourself?
No, I was with my roommates. Are you not listening to the story?
My bad.
So there was a guy standing at the light rail station, and he had headphones in. And I, had been dancing, and I felt like dancing still, but I had no way of listening to music. I was like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" And so we let him listen, and he was like, "You're not even."
I am. Go ahead. Look, I'm looking right at you.
No.
I'm looking right at you.
All right. So I will talk into the webcam then. And then so like he let me listen, and it was like this like old school rap, like the stuff that I grew up with. Like it was like Warren G and Informers and like California Love and like the mid '90s R&B and rap and hip hop I guess, not rap, hip hop.
Garbage.
But I grew up with it, and so it was like there was something sentimental about it. And so I was like rocking out, and we were on the light rail, and we were listening to it together. We were just rocking out, and it was totally innocent. And then at some point he was like, "Where are you getting off?" And I was like, "Oh, we're getting off on Orchard. Where are you getting off?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting off on Dry Creek." And then he goes, "No, I'm getting off on Orchard." And I was like, "No, I think you live on Dry Creek and you need to get off on Dry Creek." And he's like, "No, I'm getting off at Orchard." And I'm like, fuck. And I'm trying to convince him. I'm like, "Dude, you're not coming home with me. Nothing's happening here." Like, and he's like, "Oh, I'll sleep on your floor." And I'm like, "No,
Oh,
that's not
shit.
gonna happen." So anyway, the idiot got off on Orchard, and
He followed you home?
no, he had no transportation. We were all piling into my roommate's car because he wasn't drinking, so he was going to be our designated driver. So we were all piling into his car, and I was like, "Dude, you gotta go home. I don't know what you're expecting or thinking, but you gotta go home." So just left him there.
Good. Fuck that
Yeah.
asshole.
And that's it. And they're both of them, it was just kind of like, it was a bad situation because it was something that seemed so innocent and nice, and it turned to like something way more sexual, and they were both douchebags. So
Wow.
what?
Wow.
Wow.
I'm speechless. I am without speech.
Why?
It's just... I just am without speech.
Okay.
No reason. Well, I mean, congratulations, Melissa.
Congratulations on what?
On helping every guy out who's ever tried to talk to a woman when she does all the work for them. Only to be let down.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Are you saying that I led them on? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am saying that.
Asshole.
Come on, Melissa. You did lead them on because
No.
you gave... Hold on. You gave one of them your number, and then the other one obviously got off of your stop for you.
So I'm supposed to let him come home with me?
No. But you gotta look back at the situation. You gotta step back for a second and before shit gets too far. In one case, it obviously did, where a dude fucking got off at the stop that's not his.
Okay, but I told him multiple times not to get off at that stop. So that was not in my control.
Well, he's just an idiot.
Yep.
Was he an attractive guy?
No. He was like an unattractive version of you.
No, that doesn't...
No?
That doesn't help my situation any.
Why?
So he was like my twin that got beat with the ugly stick or something?
Yes.
What was he, like a Mexican dude?
No, he wasn't Mexican. I'm actually not sure what he was. He was like the same color as you. And he had kind of your hair, and your build, but it was weird because he was not good looking, and he was obviously a jerk. It turns out that was you. No, we don't need to play that when we're talking about my gentleman callers. It's an alien abduction.
It was a TARDIS.
They're gentlemen texters.
Well, I applaud you for being the virtuous woman that you are. There's not very many women like you out there.
Oh, really?
To quote a movie
What
that was
movie?
written by me.
Tell me about your lady callers.
I don't have any lady callers.
Tell me about any woman that you've come across that you're like, oh, she's cute, or oh,
I could fuck her.
Yeah.
What makes you think there were any?
In a year, there's got to be something. It's okay. It's okay.
Not really.
Shy.
Not really.
No.
There was one girl that seemed interested, but then she wasn't. So that's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Tell me.
It was Kelly's friend Summer.
Really?
Yes.
So she seemed interested at first.
Yes.
How? Was she flirting?
Not really. She just was like she was just being friendly.
Like me?
No, not like you. Not like you at all. I know that like I've seen girls be friendly and you, Melissa, you're just a really, really nice person. And when you're being friendly, you tend to overcompensate a little bit. And that's not a fault. You're just a really, really nice person. But by the fact of overcompensating your friendliness, it comes off as flirting. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, no, she was just being friendly. But I thought she was cute. But she wasn't interested, and like because she liked somebody else.
Really?
Yeah.
Whatever happened with that?
Apparently, it's not. I don't really think it's my business to state on here what somebody else's
Okay.
business was, but it didn't.
Okay.
Anything else I say continuing on isn't any of the audience's business.
Okay.
But I want to keep talking about it. Yeah, no, she just kind of, she's a real flaky person, and, you know, hold on. Just hold on.
No problem.
I wish I had a machine here.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, you know, that's pretty much where it ended, and, like, you know, she's kind of got this huge chip on her shoulder. She's kind of like Patrick.
Really?
Just in this kind of argumentative kind of way.
Oh.
She'll never fucking listen to us. Fuck her. But other than that, like, there's been nobody. I mean, like, I'm really not interested. Unless someone's doing the work for me, I don't really care. I've got better things to do. You know what I mean?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I know what you mean.
And you know what, I just had you on my mind during the whole process anyways, and still do, so. What's that look for?
Well, I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to take up all your attention.
You're really not. Don't think that at all. You know, there's a reason why I think about you a lot and everything. So.
Because I encourage it.
No, because you didn't encourage it when you split up with me. You didn't encourage it when you weren't talking to me. You didn't encourage it when, you know, we got into fights. And so it's not encouragement. It's, you know, it's the feelings that I still have for you and that haven't left. You know, it's all those things that I said and wrote down as my vows for you when we got married, you know. all the things that I said up until and still do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like 8 years ago when you were at the computer and I was laying on the couch and you were like doing homework and I looked over at you and you weren't paying attention, you were doing your thing, and I said, you know, I want to marry you. And that was like, you know, 3 years before we got married and everything. So, you know, it's sappy and it's stupid and it's not the right thing to say at our moment in life, you know, where we're kind of floating aimlessly like a couple of kids
Yeah.
trying to be adults.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Kids trying to be adults.
Yeah.
Like on Seinfeld, you know, we're not men. No, we aren't men. We aren't men. So what'd you do today?
I worked.
Oh, you know what? I've got a list of topics. So I've been watching all of these movies that we missed out on watching, you know, because like something else came out, or we didn't have any money that weekend, or it wasn't good enough to go see, or whatever. So I've been watching all these romantic comedies, things that couples see, things that like you would generally like if you weren't so awesome and like better movies. You know, all of these romantic comedies, and watching them, they aren't so much romantic comedies as they are romantic dramedies, because having not seen these, I realized that there's like a good fucking 5 years, maybe even still, that like they're so fucking dark. All of these movies are incredibly dark.
Really?
And they're supposed to be romantic comedies, you know. All the trailers, you know, they advertise them as comedies, as being funny. And I'm watching them. So what did I watch? You know, 5 Year Engagement, which we just talked about, and you know that was fucking dark as fuck. And the What's Your Number, and you know it's a dark concept about a woman that realizes that she's been just sleeping around with all these dudes, and she's not getting any younger, and she hasn't met the one, and the average is half of the men that she slept with, and she's just regretting it, and she's trying to worm her way back into her old relationships to not go over 20 people she has slept with. And you know, it's that one's probably the least dark of all these. And then I just watched Crazy Stupid Love, and it's super fucking dark, like you wouldn't fucking believe. And it's, once it hits the end, it's just a series of unfortunate events, of all these coincidences. Though it was really, really awesome, because all this shit happens at once, and I'm like, this is the type of movie that I would write. Like, how can we make these two people interconnect? The Street Meets Pavement in a romantic comedy form is what fucking Crazy Stupid Love was.
Yeah.
Because it's about, and you know, in the trailer, remember in the trailer, all that stuff is from the beginning of the movie, like the first half an hour, 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, so the end of the movie, like the last half of the movie, is not represented in that trailer. In fact, I don't even think you maybe see one split second of Kevin Bacon, because I'm watching, I'm like, oh yeah, Kevin Bacon is in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I can't watch a movie now with Ryan Gosling without thinking, you know, look at all this range right here.
Look at all this range.
You know, I really like to take you home tonight. Okay. And fuck you.
Fuck you.
Okay. But like,
Be your daddy. I never had a daddy.
Because he does have that fucking emotionless fucking gaze and dialogue.
And hipster boys.
And hipster boys.
Hipster
Uptown, downtown.
boys.
Yeah, he really, like every fucking movie he does do that, and it's like, this one, it seemed like he kind of branched out a little bit, but for the most part, he is that guy. And you know what? Watching that video with the "Hey Girl," you know, he's laughing and he's a real person. It's like, well, why aren't you that in the movies?
It's like in the movies, there's a switch, and he's like, okay, time to stop showing emotion.
It's what he does. But
Make
and
sure nothing's going on up here. Everything's
things going on
down
down here. But watching this movie, it's about a guy, and it hits kind of close to home. So the man and the woman, they've been married for 25 years. They've got some kids. They keep a certain part of this to themselves until the twist at the end. You know, and they're looking at the menu, and it's like he's like, I shouldn't have eaten so much bread. Do you want to share a dessert? How about we just say, what we want at the same time? And she's like, I want a divorce. And it's like, okay, then the movie's off, and it's like, holy shit, okay. So they separate. I don't think they actually go through with the divorce. But they separate, and like he goes to this bar, and he's just like drinking, and she tells him that she cheated on him with this dude, Kevin Bacon. And so he's at the bar, and he's just like yelling, like, "Oh yeah, David Lindelhoff or Lindhagen, and everything like that." And the second night he's doing it again, and it bends Ryan Gosling out of shape, who's the ladies' man who goes to this bar to pick up women like every night. And he goes to him, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "What the fuck's your problem?" Essentially, he doesn't say it like that, but he's like, "Okay, we're gonna meet up here again tomorrow, and we're gonna go, or we're gonna meet up here, and we're gonna do this." And like he kind of takes him under his wing and buys him new clothes and teaches him how to do the thing. And so the first, like, it fails for him because he can't help but talk about his life, and he's like, Ryan Gosling's like, no one wants to hear that. So like he ends up accidentally falling ass backwards into Marissa Tomei. And they have sex, and once he has sex, his confidence goes through the roof, and you see him every night going to the bar and doing different women.
Okay.
And in the meantime, his son is in love with the babysitter, and the babysitter is in love with Steve Carell. So the 13-year-old son is all fucking heartbroken and butthurt that like he can't have her, and he gets in trouble at school because he says the scarlet letter should be A for asshole because everyone's an asshole, and asshole this and asshole that. And then like they go to the parent-teacher conference. Oh, also Ryan Gosling hit on Emma Stone at the beginning, and she blew him off. And she's going through this thing with being a lawyer, and she's got like a shitty boyfriend that's unwilling to commit. So they go to the parent-teacher conference, Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, and it turns out the teacher is Marissa Tomei. And it's like, oh, holy shit. So everything gets thrown out on the, everything's out in the open. And he's like, oh, I've slept with 9 people. And she's like, holy shit, because he'd only slept with one person up to that point, and it was her, his wife.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you sure showed me. And she fucking blows out of there. And then Emma Stone breaks up with her boyfriend because he won't commit. And she runs to Ryan Gosling and is like, let's fucking do this. I'm ready for you now. And he's like, okay, I'd really like to take you home tonight. Practically, she's like, you still want me? He's like, yes. But they go back and they get together. And at that moment, Steve Carell needs someone to talk to because like it seemed like he was gonna get back with his wife. But then all that shit happened, so he's constantly calling him, and Ryan Gosling's enamored in Emma Stone for like the first time in his life. He's like, there's someone there. And Steve Carell's like, suddenly the guy that I needed to talk to isn't there anymore. They end up and the daughter or the babysitter she's taking nude pictures of herself. She puts them in this envelope to give to Steve Carell, which comes up a little bit later. So like suddenly everything starts coming to a head, and like Ryan Gosling's like, I met someone that's a game changer, and I'm gonna go meet her parents. And Steve Carell's like, everything's fucked, and like he tries to get back with his wife, and they do this mini golf thing that was like kind of like their first date. And so, all at the same time, he goes he builds this mini golf thing in the backyard, and he goes there. And like they're doing this whole surprise thing. She puts the blindfold on, and the two little ones are there, his youngest daughter and his 13-year-old son. And then at the same time, at the babysitter's house, her parents find the naked pictures that she's going to give to Steve Carell, so they think that something's going on. And so the dad books it out of there. They used to be like the couple together with them. So he books it out of there and to go beat the shit out of Steve Carell. Also, Julianne Moore had slept with, or had been trying to sleep with fucking Kevin Bacon this entire time after everything got thrown out from Steve Carell. So like, the dad goes there, Steve Carell's there, and suddenly fucking in walks Ryan Gosling with Emma Stone, and it's like, oh shit, Emma Stone is Steve Carell's daughter, his oldest daughter, and he's like, what's going on here? He's like, you have to break up with him. You can't be with him. He's a womanizer and he objectifies women and all this and everything like that. And the babysitter's dad comes in and he starts fighting with Steve Carell. Kevin Bacon comes in and Ryan Gosling goes and punches him for Steve Carell, who's his friend, because he recognizes the name of the guy that cheated on the wife and everything like that. And so there's this big, huge fucking group fight, all four of them. And everyone hates Steve Carell, and he ends up leaving because Emma Stone's like, I'm not leaving him. And he knows what a womanizer the dude is, obviously, because he was his teacher of how to do it himself. And, it's very dark, but it was really cool seeing that because, like, I like where shit all kind of comes piling in at once.
Yeah.
It happens in my movie. I love that shit. I love shit like that. I eat that shit up for breakfast. But everything obviously works out in the end, as they do. But that's another thing that I wrote up there. On a lot of these movies that I've been watching, like The Dilemma, that was another super fucking dark movie too. Super fucking dark. And we talked about that last night while we laid in bed together.
What?
1,000 miles apart. But yeah, no, I was like, all these movies, if they ended like 20 to 30 minutes earlier than they did, they could still end, but they would just end on this really fucked up note. And I was like, that would be it. Now that would be a way to end a movie. Like, everything is fucked. Nothing got resolved. No hope. Just like in real life, everybody hates Steve Carell. He drives away. Nothing is resolved. Credits. Same with The Dilemma. Everything's fucking thrown out on the floor. Everything is fucked. No relationships resolved. Credits. Fucking. What was the one that I said earlier? What's your number? Fucking. She gets with the dude. Chris Evans is fucked. Credits.
That's life.
It is life, and all these movies, the audience won't buy that. They'll feel cheated out of their money. So you've got to resolve things, unless you build up to a resolution where nothing gets resolved.
Right. Well, that's like in our screenwriting class. They taught us the structure of a screenplay, and that's part of it. Is kind of like the rock bottom. What do they call that?
Denouement.
The low point, or something
the low point of the characters.
Of the whole movie, the low point, where it's just like it doesn't seem like anything's gonna get resolved, and then it does. But if you cut it off, every movie, if you cut it off at that low point, just change the whole thing. You
haven't been talking much. Why don't you start talking? I just did a whole spiel on Crazy Stupid Love.
I know, now I really want to see it, even though I know the whole plot and everything.
I would not recommend this movie for you.
Why?
Just because of how fucked up it is. It's a good movie. Steve Carell's good in it. Ryan Gosling's good in it. For the first time, I realized that I like Julianne Moore in movies, because I've always never really liked her. But I liked her in this because she was vulnerable and not, like I'm used to seeing her in these other things that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
but I liked her in this one. So I kind of, I'm looking back, like Hannibal, which I'm reading right now. So when I'm done with that, I'll buy that and watch it. Which that's like the ultimate female role right there, outside of like Ripley and Alien, is fucking Clarice Starling and like Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. So
It's pretty good.
yeah, I wouldn't recommend seeing it. It's really just steer clear of that one. It's depressing. You don't want to be depressed right now.
Well, I mean, I read that book Cleaving. Do you want me to tell you about
Sure,
that?
yeah.
Okay, so
Does it pick up where Julie and Julia left off, or?
no. So the biggest part of Cleaving is there's this. So it's written by Julie Powell, who also wrote Julie and Julia.
Played by Amy Adams in the film.
Played by Amy Adams. It was actually, I mean, it had this long title, like A Year French Cooking, something like that, whatever. So the tone in that book, Julie and Julia, is very lighthearted and like, she has some problems with her husband, but it's...
Well, weren't you saying that like she's trying to fucking have sex with the dude that played was in Good Night and Good Luck and River Wild and shit? Like she made cookies for him because he was doing a play. Like she was trying to hook up with him.
Yeah, well, I don't think she was trying to hook up with him. She was just... like in that she was just kind of a little bit obsessed with him. But Cleaving gets off to a head start about, like, you don't even see it coming when you first start reading the book, but it's within the first 15 pages you find out that right when she started getting famous, this guy from her past contacted her, and she calls this guy D, contacted her and said, let's have lunch. Automatically, she just fucking starts having an affair with him. And, like, then, like, you find out in the first 15 pages that not only did she start having an affair with him, but it's, like, this, like, dominant, submissive, like, fucked up, like, kinky affair. And it's like, what? Because you go into it thinking that it's like this kind of like lighthearted thing about marriage and then about butchery and this, recipes and food. But really what it is about her marriage falling apart, her like betraying her husband in so many ways, and
that's always the case.
Really, stop it. Being really fucking miserable and depressed and ruining her career, basically. And so it was not what I was expecting at all. And so the whole book is just like, it intersperses between like her internship at this butchery.
Butcher shop?
Butcher shop, sure. At a butcher shop, and like...
or like a meat packing plant or something?
No, it's like a butcher shop. Like Butcher Boy or whatever.
Butcher Boy.
And then it intersperses with like all these random like sex scenes with her and this D guy, and then like it's depressing because then she gets into stalking him because he breaks it off, because this happens for like a year where she's having this affair with him, and then her husband learns about it, Eric, her husband, but he wants to stay with her and he wants to work it out, and so he knows about it the whole time, like for like 6 months, that she's cheating on him. He knows about it, and it's not that he's okay with it, he just like is like,
he
do what you
loves
have
her
to do.
enough, right?
Yeah, and he's like, do what you have to do, and it's just kind of fucked up because like there's one scene where like she can't stop looking at her BlackBerry because she wants a text from him, but she's sitting there with her husband, and her feet are like going crazy, and she seems really like irritated,
anxious
or whatever.
And shit, or
yeah, and she keeps looking at her BlackBerry, and he grabs her feet and he's like, what, is he not giving you enough attention? And then they just go back to watching Buffy, and I'm just like, that's so fucking sad. Like, I don't know, like it's fucking depressing. And then so he finally, this D guy breaks it off, and then she starts stalking him, and she's like texting him every single day, and she's emailing him every single day, calling, leaving messages. She goes to France and she buys him like a fucking $300 scarf, and she tries to give it to him, like she wants to meet up with him, and she says it's really important or it's an emergency or something. So she meets up with him and tries to give him the scarf, and he's like, "No, I don't want that. You're insane." And then there's this scene where like God, it's so fucking weird. I guess she like meets up with some dude she doesn't know, like a random stranger, and she just like has sex with him randomly, and then like that's it. And then she writes this D guy an email about it, and she's like, "Oh, I had sex with a random stranger because I can't get over you," or something fucking weird. And then all this is going on, and Eric is just kind of in the background, like waiting for her to come back to him. You okay? It froze for a sec.
Yeah, it looked like it lagged. Yeah, I see your lips moving. The voice is going.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, folks.
Do you want me to turn off the video?
No, keep talking.
Okay. So anyway, it's just fucking sad because Eric is just sitting by, kind of waiting for her to get it out of her system or whatever, and she's like, you know, desperately in love with this dude. But he wants nothing to do with her, and it's just kind of fucked up. And then the book never really resolves, because like Eric finds a girl, and he's not in love with her, but she's in love with him, and so he, you know, he's just trying to, I don't know, make it past. And so the book resolves with he keeps his mistress, I guess, if you could call her a mistress.
They stay married.
They stay married, and I think
thing.
and she gets an apartment in the city, like near her butcher shop, and so they stay married, but I don't know, they don't see each other very often. I don't know, but it was the most fucking depressing book in the whole world, because their marriage is just like falling apart, and she doesn't care. Like, all she cares about is like this fucking D dude. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And even at the end, at the very end, when everything's supposed to resolve, they're having Thanksgiving together, and she's like, you know, she hadn't seen D in months, and then he finally agreed to meet up with her so they could resolve something. So they meet up, and then like she's back and she's making dinner, and she's humming this tune that Eric knows is like their song, is like D and her song, and she's humming it, and he's like, "I wish you wouldn't do that." And then she fucking launches into like, "Oh, I saw him today, and we talked about things," and he even says, like, she writes down, he even says, "I don't want to hear about this," or like, "I don't need to hear about this." And then she's like, "No, I want to tell you." And then it's like she's digging a knife in. She's like, "I still love him, and blah blah blah, but everything's okay between us, and I feel so much happier now." And he's like, he's coming to tears, and she's just saying this shit like she doesn't fucking care.
Picks up the butcher's knife and
the end of the book, and I'm just like, this guy Eric, like, I feel so bad for him, because this girl is such an idiot and a bitch, fucking cunt.
Like all women.
No, not like all women, because like at some point when she was talking about their marriage, because they'd been together since high school, so at some points when she was talking about their marriage, I could kind of relate. Not with the whole like affair thing or like any of that, but I could relate in the way that they kind of fell into these comfort zones, you know, and she felt like the need to change, and she just, you know, I don't know, there were some points where I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but most of the book, I'm just like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing, you know? And I just wanted to like strangle her.
Yeah. I was trying to read Silver Linings Playbook because I love the movie, and I don't know if I told you this, but like, I don't know if we spoke about me trying to read it before, have we?
You mentioned that you were trying to, but I don't know why just trying to and couldn't get past it.
Oh, well, I mean, because like it's all in his head, you know, because he's the narrator, so it's all in his fucking head. So you get that much more of his psychosis and his delusion, and it's like, you know, he really is deluding himself, and it's like, am I actually deluding myself? And it's like that's me, and I know that he's deluding himself, so I guess I'm deluding myself also. And so I couldn't read it anymore, so it's It's on the shelf over there, unfinished.
How far did you get?
80 pages or so. It's for the most part, it's just like the movie, except the movie they add the Chris Rock character,
Okay.
and they also add the cop character, and like they added a lot more drama in the movie than what's in the book.
Yeah.
Like they make him a little bit more fucked up than he actually is, and like the father characters never talks to him at all in the book. At least to where I got. Where in the movie they kind of try and talk and do their thing, and like in the movie he's a little bit more obsessive compulsive. Robert De Niro is, but not in the book. So like I mean it's for the most part it's there, but the movie's definitely a movie opposed to like trying to do the book as a movie. It's definitely been adapted to be cinematic.
Of course.
Yeah, so that is that.
Yeah.
Also, I want to talk about this. The way that I'm able to be in arguments, like not like serious arguments, but like discussion arguments, and the way that like I feel that I can actually handle myself in a debate situation based on the fact that like everything that I've heard from Kevin Smith and the way he handles like hecklers and shit and just stupid people, like he's at a level that's above everyone else to where it's like don't even bother trying. And like I've learned from that how to deal with those situations. And like I see other people who try and get into an argument, someone like let's say Patrick for instance, and he has an argument, but it's all very one-sided, where he's trying to prove a point without really kind of having the other side to it. You know what I mean? Like there's this ignorance about it, and it's like I kind of like being in those a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if like there's a perceived win from the other side, it doesn't bother me because I know they're full of shit anyways. It's like if that's what helps, sure. Doesn't bother me any what you feel like saying or thinking or doing.
It's funny because I mean your way of having discussions and of having arguments is almost like mellow, in the way that like if they say something that's wrong or if they say something that just doesn't rub you the right way, it's more dismissive than angry. Like you'll come back like no.
Well, it's that thing like in The World's End where they keep saying, you're never wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how people are. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm never wrong. But it's not that you're never actually wrong. It's that you're never willing to be wrong.
Right. Which could be perceived as bad or good. So, but, I mean, that's why, like, I always try to be really careful about what I say. I think I've learned a lot from you because I was always trying to kind of careful about what I say around you because I didn't want to sound like an idiot, obviously, because I know you're so smart and you have an amazing memory. And so, I know that there were certain things that I could not argue with you about, but the few things that I knew I could argue with you about, I needed to get my shit straight first. I couldn't go into that without facts or without some kind of good debate material.
Well, I love having like opinionated discussions back and forth with people, and particularly you. I really miss having those discussions with you, like after a movie, which we were talking about last night. Going and seeing a movie alone and then not having someone to turn to kind of like, this is how I felt. This is how that movie made me feel.
Yeah.
And it like, when I would go see a movie with Patrick the few times that I did, and he liked a movie and me not liking it, he just didn't give a shit about my opinion. And it's like, no, that movie was awesome. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, you liked it. Let me tell you why I didn't. No, no. It's like, okay, fine.
But I mean, like, talking about movies was so awesome for both of us. Because for me, it was a learning experience. Every movie that we saw where we had different, because I think generally we had like generally the same opinion on most
Yeah.
movies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
And
we
being
could
able
both
to read
agree.
into it and read between the lines and things and see things that weren't there and be like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the few occasions when we felt differently about it, it was a learning experience for me because it was like, well, tell me how you feel because I respect your opinion. I want to hear how you felt about it and let me see like your point of view.
What was
So-
one that you liked that I didn't? We saw it in theaters. Is there anything that's coming to mind?
No,
You
because
know,
it was so rare. It
yeah.
was
For the
so
most
rare.
part, yeah. For the most part, we liked a lot of movies, and then there were ones that we
Grandma's
did.
Boy. Grandma's Boy was so good. I loved that movie.
That one we can't even really talk. We walked out of that movie because it was just it's stupid. But
But it's memorable for it.
God, I felt like walking out of so many movies this summer.
Really?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
just
and
weren't
I've
worth
talked.
it?
Yeah, I've talked about them. I don't know if I'm talking about them here before or with you. I know I've talked about them with you, like The Purge, Kick-Ass 2. I so felt like walking out of those because they just, they were not good
Bummer.
at all.
Such a bummer about The Purge because that one seemed like it had such good potential.
No, the concept was amazing, but the follow through was just terrible. And the shitty thing is that was like a low budget movie,
Yeah.
and it made a bunch of money.
Did it really?
Yeah, because of that was the thing about The Purge is that it's like we can make a low budget movie that looks good and make money.
Yeah.
But if you make a low budget movie and you get the audience in and the movie sucks, the money still gets, it's still there at the end of the weekend with the box office receipts. So it's
Yeah.
like the movie sucked. That was the thing with Halloween. Halloween fucking sucked dick.
Yeah.
But they still made a number 2 because it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Because John Carpenter's Halloween, in my opinion, is almost like a perfect horror movie.
Really?
When I bought that thing on DVD for the first time, that was one of my first DVDs, and I watched that movie over and over again because it's beautifully shot, it's beautifully written, and it's beautifully acted. It's just an amazing horror movie, and it's scary, it's tension building and everything like that, and I love it. Which leads me into a good segue.
Let me just say, I believe that The Thing is a near perfect horror movie.
Oh, definitely.
So maybe
John Carpenter.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so sorry, segue into.
It was terrible because this is near the ending of the podcast, but this will most likely air in October as one of the horror-themed episodes. Probably not anymore though, because we talked about other shit. But
Relationships, that is fucking horrific.
But I did want to talk to you about because I mentioned to you last night, I watched Saw 4 and 6 back to back yesterday, or day before.
Skip over 5.
Well, it's because I had 5. I bought 5 before we left Reno the first time because at the moment Suncoast was going out of business. And I was able to buy the stupid little motorized Saw edition of it.
Yeah.
Which I'd wanted, and it had always been like $35 because Suncoast sucks fucking dick. But I got it when it was like 50% off, which is still way overpriced for what it is. It's just like the regular edition of the movie with a fucking motorized saw attached to the front of it that only really works if you press down to relieve some of the pressure that prevents the saw from spinning. So it won't move unless you move the little plastic piece out of the way.
Yeah.
So I had 5, so I needed to get 4 and 6, which I got a little while back. So I watched those back to back, and 5 is the worst out of all of them anyways. But I watched 4 and 6 back to back. I almost don't even skip a beat.
Of course.
Because they 4 and 3 happen simultaneously. Those are happening at the same exact time.
Yeah.
And then 6 reveals a lot of shit that you didn't know about.
Right.
And
5 is almost useless.
5 is nearly useless. You just get a little resolution of what happened to the characters, which is at the beginning of number 6. So it's all there.
There you go.
But I was just thinking about, we went every single October and we saw every single one of those Saw movies. And you know what? Actually, a year ago in October, we did our first podcast where we talked about Saws because we went and saw the last one that October, like the week
Oh,
before, if not that day, when we had Haley and Sam and Patrick over, and we had Necromantic on, and we talked about all the Saws. But like, I was just thinking, like, man, that was an awesome thing to look forward to, is going and seeing the next Saw movie. Like, what fucked up shit are we gonna see now? What is the twist on this one?
Man, you remember in the trailer what the fuck is gonna happen? It's gonna be ripped apart. Her head's gonna get cut off. Oh shit!
And the music, da 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 da. You know, that tension building music, like, yes, I'm coming. And like, it just brought back a lot of good memories of, you know, with you and October. Octobers have always been so much fun.
Yeah, man. You've made them fun.
The last October, not so much, but before that, we like, Octobers have been very huge months for us. Like that first one when we saw 2 that day, because we talked about this in our first our year 2006 podcast that we did, where I accidentally dropped the condom and put it on still and had sex with you, and you got like a virus, so you had to take all those antibiotics and everything, and assuming that you had like some kind of venereal disease, STD.
You are laying it all out on Front Street, aren't you?
We talked about it on that podcast, so it's already been discussed.
So just in case you didn't know, we're telling you again.
But you should know if you're a devoted audience member, because you listened to that podcast. After the movie, after seeing number 2, that was the first one we saw in theaters together. On the way out of the movie, we got the call saying that you were fine. And like, you were taking like handfuls of pills just to get rid of it, and it's strange because they didn't know what it was. They just knew that it wasn't an STD, and they were very judgmental.
They were super judgmental. I remember that.
But that was the first Saw that we saw together. So Saw 2 had Donnie Wahlberg in it. And then the next year, in 2007, was Saw 3. And I think that was just kind of like, that was a big fall, December, winter with you, me, Casey, and Allie. I'm pretty sure we saw that one by ourselves. Oh, also Saw 2, the movie fucked up right at the fucking climax and turned off.
Was that Saw 2?
That was Saw 2, because it was in the house, and the dude had the knife, and he was stalking after her or him or somebody.
It was right at that
and then
climax.
It's like, da-da-da, da-da. We're sorry. The movie is fucked.
What the fuck?
And then they played it back up right where it was, but it was like not coming. And then coming, like, oh, well, I'm out of the moment now.
I guess I'll come because I should.
So Saw 3, I just remember going and seeing it. But then Saw 4, no. 2006 was Saw 3. 2007, we'd gotten the DVDs, and we showed Saw 3 to Casey and Allie because we were going to go see 4 with them. And so we saw 4 with them that winter that we got real good friends and close with them. And you and Allie, I think, had went and done something. And then me and Casey, I think might have been Christmas shopping or something. Me and Casey had been, like, I think we might have played HeroClix that day. And we went to, like, GameStop and stuff, and we met you guys there. And so we saw 4 with them. And 4 was really good. 4 is one of the best. Like, the first one's the best. The last one's really, really good. And 4 is probably the third best out of all of them. I really, really liked 4. And watching it again, it was really good. Because we stayed up late the night before and watched Saw 3 with them. Remember?
Yeah.
And then Saw 5 was the shittiest of them. And it was kind of like we just went because we always had.
Yeah.
And then
You had to.
We had to, and then we saw 6, and it was better than 5. And then the next year we saw 7, which was the final and last one, and we saw that one in 3D, and we saw it, I believe, on XD at Sparks. And then from there it was
Yeah.
like Paranormal Activity, and I still haven't seen 4. Is there 5? I haven't seen the last
I
Paranormal
don't
Activity.
know.
We saw
It's
3.
supposed to. Isn't it supposed to like bring it all around or something like that? Or did it already do that?
No, well, because they keep going backwards. Except for 2. 2 kind of overlaps with 1.
Yeah.
And then 3 went backwards to like the 80s, where they're little girls. The 2 sisters are little girls.
Yeah.
And it's like a Satanist thing.
There's a cat. It's freaking me out because she keeps fucking coming around the corner.
Oh, she's right in the light, too.
Yeah, I know. She keeps fucking making movements, and we're talking about scary movies, and it's freaky.
That's exactly what in fucking VHS. That's what happens in VHS. Because they're Skyping. And,
Yeah.
did you watch it?
No, but I know about this.
You know about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're Skyping and there's little fucking creatures things running in the background. He's like, I didn't see anything. Oh! Oh! And, I'm watching this movie and, I'm like, is this really that movie? Because this is what I'm thinking. You know what I'm thinking, right? Of course you know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking,
Overuse it.
I'm thinking this.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Stupid. Worst podcast ever. Not as bad as the one with my sister, though. I don't know what the fuck happened with that. I don't know why the sound was so shitty on that. Were you able to hear that one at all?
It was in and out.
You're like, turn all the way up.
And then you gotta reach over and turn it down.
I moved it closer to her, too, because I was worried she wouldn't be loud enough. And apparently, she still wasn't.
Yeah.
But I've got a remedy for that. I've revolutionized the next podcasting step. I love this microphone that I have, and it's perfect, and it's perfect for group settings. But I've upgraded slightly to this.
Oh man.
A microphone attached to a headset, and it only works with 2 people. So whenever I do it with 2 people now, it won't be like, oh, that person doesn't talk loud enough, so you can't hear them as well. So now everyone will have their own personal mic, and 2 people will at least.
That's awesome. That is very cool. That is revolutionary. And it makes it a little more professional.
A little bit. I also got the new editing software came in.
Nice.
Sony Vegas 11 instead of
Sweet.
6.
Oh my god.
And it's got an audio program on it too, so an
Awesome.
audio editor on there.
Fantastic. That's what you need.
Well, I was reading the reviews and it's like, oh, perfect for boom, sold.
Say no more.
I was reading up 12 is the newest, and the review on that, the guy was like, 11 was great, but 12 has issues. So I went and started reading the reviews for 11. The guy's like, oh, this is great for podcasting. Boom.
Boom. Done.
So
Awesome.
it's
Sweet.
Sony Vegas Movie Studio Platinum, or HD Platinum.
Cool.
So
And it's good for editing movies.
boom.
It's a dual purpose.
Anything else you got?
Do you want to see something?
Yeah. So this is on the podcast. I see a Starro.
Looks fine. You can comment on it.
Oh, well, you're just going to show me your tattoo.
Treat it like it's nothing.
Well, I mean, I saw it on Facebook. There it is. So
Hate it?
I don't hate it at all. Don't assume that I hate it because of my opinion on tattoos. It's a butterfly. Everybody, Melissa is showing us, or showing me at least, the butterfly tattoo.
And you have no comment.
I mean, it's a tattoo.
That's all I've got.
Why is that all you've got? What else do you got? Why don't you tell the audience that you love them?
I love you, audience. I'm in the middle of Patrick's script right now.
Well, put that script away and start reading all the shit that I sent you. I put a lot of work into that, and I'm very proud of it.
I know.
Have you even opened one email?
Yes.
Just one.
Yes.
And how was it?
It was really good so far. It was
Okay.
a lot of what we talked about.
Oh, I'm very proud of it, and I'm really super excited that you're working on this. And everyone else is, so we're all looking forward to it, and Kelly is changing her hair once again for a movie, and it's all your fault.
It's all my fault. What do you mean?
So you better come through with the script by October.
Is it October 1st is the deadline?
The sooner the better, because I want to start auditions as soon as possible, or as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be terribly soon, but without a script, I can't audition anybody. And I want to get a Kickstarter going and up by October 1st, and I would like to have some scenes to record with the actors, and hopefully Greg will have some photos up there too, to kind of do a motion comic thing. So I'm really hoping he comes through.
Okay.
Well,
okay, so here's what my plan is. I told you that I wanted to read every day this week. And I haven't really done that just because there's been some constraints, but I will do that starting tomorrow. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm reading. Friday night.
Too busy hitting off gentlemen callers on your left and right.
Just to ward them off.
I wish I could be one of those down there with you in Denver.
Oh yeah?
Definitely. I would definitely love to be one of your gentlemen callers. In fact, I'm a gentleman calling you right now, so.
You are. And they're not gentlemen callers, they're douchebag texters, so.
Was that after, like, when you texted me that thing, was that after one of those scenarios?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Was that a drunk text?
No.
A drunkst?
No.
A drext?
I have drunk texted you a couple times, but.
Oh yeah, when you were fucking waxing on about how much you love Kelly, so.
I was drinking wine at that time.
Put you right out.
Fuck some wine. What the fuck was I saying?
You're saying Friday.
Oh, okay. So Friday night, if I could even just get like a couple pages in, that'd be nice. And then that'll be the start of the writing. And then I really want to write every day, even if it's for an hour. Even if I sit there and I fucking stare at my screen and I type 2 lines, I want to write every single day. So that's going to start Friday.
You know, you're my biggest hero, right? You're the one person I look up to as a writer. So I'm very confident in your skills. And I don't want to, like, put pressure on you by saying anything like that. You know, write at your own pace, write what you can. And, like, don't feel like you're writing and suddenly you feel like, well, no one's going to like this. Just write. Just write for the sake of writing, and write because you love writing. Do you love writing still?
I do love writing very much.
And you know what? It's very it's therapeutic, and it's what's the word when you finish something and you feel very good about it?
Satisfying?
It's very satisfying. That's something else I wanted to talk to you about. So I started watching Young Justice, right? And who's Young Justice, Melissa?
Young Justice? I don't know.
Why don't you know?
I don't know.
Think about it. You're on the spot now. Young Justice. Young Justice.
Who is Young Justice?
Yeah. What is Young Justice?
Young Justice League? So is it Superman?
Is Superman in the Young Justice League?
No. Batman?
Is Batman in the Young Justice League?
Fucking Robin.
Okay.
Shit.
Who else would be in there?
Cyborg.
God, you are out. You are so fucking rusty on your comic books. You need to get your ass down to a comic book shop and start reading some trades.
I do. Cyborg.
Cyborg. Booyah!
Booyah.
Booyah! I'm Cyborg. Booyah! Booyah! But anyways, Robin
Young Justice.
Robin and Young Justice. I'm happy that they kept up with this, but he's got this running joke in like every few episodes, every other episode, where he'll say something like, you know, I'm disturbed. Someone will say something like, well, what he's like about like disturbed or something like that, and he'll be like, well, what about if you're turbed? Is that the opposite of disturbed? So I'm turbed right now, and it's a different word each time. He manages to find a different word where you can take off those like first 3 letters and not have an actual word, but you know the
like retarded. Am I tarded?
something like that. I don't think they ever used the word retard, but like yeah, like in The Office where Michael Scott would be like, maybe next time you'll estimate me. So, but I thought that was a really cool running joke where Robin kind of it added to his individuality, where some of the other characters were not as individual, especially Superboy. But he starts fucking Miss Martian, and Kid Flash is, you know, they're not telling him, they're doing it behind his back because he's all in love with her. But and there's this one really extremely adult situation that kind of blew my mind. Miss Martian and Superboy go into this prison as like these twins, a brother and sister twin pair, and at the end he thinks that she's gonna die, and like she gets out of like the ice encasing, and he goes and fucking starts making out with her. And so what you're seeing is a brother and sister make out with each other, and the fucking dude Icicle.
Oh no!
Icicle was like, "What the fuck? Your brother and sister?" And I was like, "Yes." So children watching this, you know, they're smart enough to know, hopefully, that they're not actually brother and sister, but what they're visually seeing is a brother and sister making out. She eventually changes into Miss Martian, but like it's
messed up.
it was so different. And you know what's cool about this show is that I didn't know about it until I just got it. The first season is them as Young Justice, but then the second season, I don't know what the year difference is, but like it's Nightwing now, and it's not Robin, so like it's a totally different second season. So it's like between seasons they jumped like 10 years or something, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So there's a time jump between seasons.
Sorry.
What's that?
Just like there's a time jump between your lips moving and your voice right now.
Oh, is it lagging? Is it beginning to lag? That's okay. We're reaching the end of this podcast here. So do you have anything else to say, Melly Hoff?
Oh gosh.
Is there anything in the future that the audience should look forward to?
I mean, there's a script in the works. There's a baby in the works. I'm just kidding.
Don't joke about that. Maybe that's a hint enough. Let me see your stomach.
No, it's bigger, but just because I've gained weight, not because I'm.
Is there a bun in the oven, Melissa?
There's a burrito in the oven.
If there was a bun in the oven, whose would it be? One of these gentlemen callers?
No. One of these douchebag texters, you mean?
Sure.
It would not be a gentleman caller.
No. It would be your man friend?
It would be a gentleman Skyper.
Cryptic.
No. I'm not prego. But there is a script.
Are you sure? Or were you throwing up this morning?
No.
Tomorrow, will you be throwing up in the morning?
No.
Let me know if you do.
Okay, so the time that I don't know how much I can say. I don't know. Because you like to put everything out on the table.
On Front Street.
Out on Front Street. So I don't know how much people know and how much I should say, but
Say whatever you want.
I will say that I don't believe that I would have morning sickness.
For at least another couple weeks.
Well, who knows if I would have it at all. Because I've never had it.
This is true. You never have had morning sickness. But you have not had something. Which is what generally...
Right. So we have to wait like 3 weeks. I know.
Don't be so calm about this, because you know you would fucking be upset like you wouldn't believe. Shrug, she says. She says shrug, everybody. She says shrug.
Do you have a song? That would be me. But that was not a well-placed sound effect. We need to get better.
Nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Yeah, this was probably the most random, honest, open podcast I've ever done.
It's more like just a late night phone conversation we would have where no one else is listening, only now people will listen.
Which is the problem.
There's no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay.
This will probably be the one that people look back on as the most historical episode of all time.
You think so?
I know so. I like to set precedents, Melissa. And I'm setting it right here. This is the one. This is the one that everyone will look back on in the future. Because of you and because of me.
Okay. Okay.
Worst episode ever.
Yep.
But
I agree.
greatest episode ever.
But everyone will look back on it. Something. This is the one that people will be torn on. They'll have arguments over that. It was the best. It was the worst.
Silence! I kill you.
Silence. You.
You know, it's always nice to be able to talk to you, Melissa.
It's always nice to be able to talk to you too, Matt. It's very easy to talk to you.
Is it easier? Is it also easy to do other things with me?
It's easy to eat pizza with you.
Why? Because I eat all of it?
Yes.
Because you're like,
I want one piece.
You have 7 pieces. Eat them.
Eddie,
And you also have 8 garlic knots.
what?
Yep.
What else is it easy to do with me?
It's easy to watch movies with you.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. Because you don't fucking talk during movies, so I don't have to tell you to shut up.
Do people talk during movies?
Yes, they do.
Recently?
Well, you know, everybody talks during movies. So, I go to movies alone.
What's today's date?
Today is September 10th,
And in 7 days?
2013. In 7 days?
In 7 days? 7 days. 7 days.
Speaking of horror movies,
The Ring.
is that what I'm watching right now?
No, you're watching me, faggot.
Yeah, but is this like The Ring?
No, it's like more like VHS, Juan. VHS.
Tiger behind you.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is a late night podcast. We're gonna get sexy up in here.
Nobody would ever say that. They would say, "Welcome to our late night podcast where we're spinning your favorite tunes to make you get down."
That just made me
Here's-
wet, so
That was the idea. Now, buckle down, enjoy the ride. Bow, chicka, wow, wow. Here we go.
I've got it.
Okay.
Bounce, bounce, wow. Wow.
Exactly. What was that?
That was Chewbacca.
I
Chewie.
don't know
Chewie.
anything about Chewie.
It's probably for the best because Star Wars is not nearly as awesome as Star Trek.
It's true.
Matthew Bonta, everybody.
Don't you dare misuse that on your podcast with moi. Kelly Stoll is not on this podcast.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tomorrow she will be. Are you excited about tomorrow's new episode of the podcast?
Woo! I am. I've seen a lot of buzz about it.
You've heard a lot of buzz, you dumbass.
I've seen it on Facebook, you faggot.
Fake book?
Yeah. What about something that I want to initiate called Placebook?
Is this another one of your harebrained schemes?
Do you want to hear my idea for Placebook? No. Okay. You should have played that earlier.
All right, Melissa, let's hear it.
Bees! Okay, so Placebook would be like Facebook, except instead of centering around people, it's centering around places. So where people are, what they're doing, the pictures, reviews of places, talking about places, just being places.
Melissa Bonta, everybody. Or Hoffman, I guess.
Come on. Come on. Hey,
Melissa Hoffman, not Bonta anymore.
no.
Although, you made a good Bonta.
Did I?
You did.
Do I belong as a Bonta though?
I think that you do. You held your position with great respect and admiration. People looked up to you. People still look up to you. I look up to you.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Of course it's okay. I love having fans. And I know you're my biggest fan. And you always will be.
In or out, I guess.
Oh boy. What does that mean?
Comfortable silence.
Dead air.
It is dead air. People are like, what the fuck are we
What
listening
are
to?
you doing?
Really, I'm just kind of having fun talking to you, and like having your face actually on the screen it is distracting because you are so beautiful,
Oh, Matthew.
and one day the world will know it. You know, from director Melissa Hoffman comes Street Meets Pavement 2. I don't know. 5150.
5150, exactly. He's coming home.
Melissa. He's coming home in a body bag.
He's coming home in a bucket.
Melissa Hoffman's 5150. He's coming home for Christmas. Isn't that what it is? What does it say right there?
He's coming home for Christmas.
With his dick in his hands. The bag full of dragons. Pigeon.
What's the pigeon?
Pigeon is the guy in the movie.
There's not a thing about pigeon?
Like what? Like what kind of thing?
I don't know.
I don't.
Like dragons?
What? No.
Like tulips?
How about planting tulips on these balls?
Guys are so goofy. Matthew Bonta, everybody.
Woo! Golf clap. We should let the audience get back to whatever they were doing, which was surely better than listening to this. So, probably. So, with that, I'm Matthew Bonta.
I'm Melissa Hoffman.
Stay classy, Reno.